Side effects of vaping. By now, everyone has heard stories about illnesses and deaths in the US blamed on vaping by a multitude of media and governments. On the surface, those affected are people who vaped. However, the reality is not that simple, and it is important to know the truth and focus on the health of vapers, as well as keeping people well informed. The facts are that, according to the investigations that are being carried out, the main thesis of the cases of death that have occurred in the United States recently are directly associated with the use in electronic cigarettes of substances from the black market related to cannabis and alcohol. THC, something that in Europe is totally prohibited according to current regulations. It is also true that, behind economic interests, attempts are being made to tarnish the good name of vaping when there are reputable reports that have shown that its success rate for quitting smoking is the highest if we compare it with other products designed to kick the habit, such as nicotine gum, patches or other substitute therapies, and that the British Ministry of Health itself stated that, although it cannot be said that it is absolutely harmless, vaping was 95% less harmful than tobacco. Another fact is that taking into account that vaping was born around 2003, and has been a known and widespread practice for at least 10 years, to date, no cases of death related to vaping have been found in Europe, and despite all the advantages that it entails is still trying to put an end to a market that has drastically reduced the consumption of traditional tobacco, which we must remember is the proven cause of thousands of deaths a year throughout the world. In Europe, all products related to electronic cigarettes are regulated by safety regulations, in addition to a multitude of controls that ensure that the products meet the appropriate health standards, and that they have been tested in laboratories. Vaping, despite everything, is not a medical device and, as such, can have some side effects that may or may not occur, depending on the way of vaping, the device is used, or the liquids with which they are used. It vapes. Some of those side effects can be dry mouth, cough, sore throat, headache, or dizziness, among others. We explain what it is due to and what can be done to avoid these side effects. Dry mouth. It is one of the most common effects. It usually has to do with the two basic ingredients of liquids, vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol. Both are ingredients that are used as preservatives in food. Both are hygroscopic elements, absorb moisture. The simplest solution to get rid of this side effect is to hydrate more, drink more water. Throat pain. The sore throat can come from different causes: nicotine, propylene glycol, aromas, or even the resistance that we are using. There are also some resistances that have nickel among their components, which is an element to which there are people who are allergic. Typically, sore throats are associated with nicotine and high levels of propylene glycol. If you think it is due to any of these causes, you should try using liquids with a lower concentration of nicotine and/or a higher percentage of vegetable glycerin. If you are sure that this is not the case, look at the characteristics of the resistors to make sure that they are not nickel or contain this material, such as nichrome, often referred to as Ni80. If despite everything you still have a sore throat. Cough. Cough is usually associated with beginners taking their first steps in vaping, regardless of whether they were previous smokers or ex-smokers. Coughing is usually the result of taking the wrong type of puff, either by taking a direct puff into the lungs with a liquid with too much nicotine, or by taking a cigarette-type puff with a device that has ample airflow. If you cough every time you take a puff, check the airflow control, if adjustable. A tighter airflow is designed for mouth-to-lung vaping, more traditional cigarette style. A more open airflow indicates that it is intended for direct-to-lung vaping, more hookah style, and with this type of vaping it is not advisable to use liquids with more than 6 mg of nicotine per ml. Headaches. Normally, in people who have just quit smoking, it is normal to have headaches. Although it is possible to vape liquids with nicotine, it is not the only alkaloid that tobacco contains, and when you quit smoking, the lack of these alkaloids can also cause this physical effect. Nicotine is the main alkaloid in tobacco, but there are other alkaloids that act in conjunction with nicotine, and using nicotine-containing liquids alone may not initially be enough to prevent a headache. If you get headaches and it's not due to quitting smoking, it's also possible it's due to dehydration. Headache is a common symptom of dehydration. If you notice a headache in addition to dry mouth, you may need to drink more water. If it is none of these causes, as usual, consult with your medical professional. Dizziness. That feeling of dizziness or nausea that happens when you smoke for the first time can also be experienced when vaping. It normally disappears gradually with use, and is usually associated with vaping liquids with nicotine. If you are worried about dizziness, it is best to lower the amount of nicotine or vape more spaced out. If you don't want to cut back on nicotine, this feeling will most likely fade as your body gets used to the nicotine. Chest pain. There may be various reasons why we may notice some chest pain. Excessive heat, high nicotine, or even certain e-liquid flavors can be the cause. Whatever the reason, chest pain can always be a minor problem or something more serious. If the pain appears as a result of vaping, try one by one to lower the power of your device, lower the level of nicotine, change the resistance or atomizer, or try a different liquid. Try different things until you find out. If the pain persists, you should consult your doctor. In short, many of the side effects of vaping are usually related to the use of nicotine. However, others are specific to vaping and are related to liquids, devices, resistances, or the type of puff. The key above all is to keep in mind that vaping is not a medicine. It is, however, and advocated by many researchers and health experts, a healthier alternative to smoking. If you're one of those who vapes to quit smoking, all you need to do is look with some perspective and compare the mild side effects associated with vaping with the dangerous effects of traditional tobacco use.